May God add hearing and understanding and wisdom to these words. Amen. That's quite a story, huh? So we start out with inheritance and dividing inheritance. Things can get tricky there, can't they? All sorts of things can happen when inheritance money is involved. But we all know stories. Surprise, surprise, people act in ways we never expected. Did you notice that Jesus knows better than to get dragged into that one? Instead, he goes to the heart of the matter, greed. Money isn't the problem. It is what we do with it and our relationship to it. Money can be an exceedingly good thing. Look at our LAF challenge and the money that came in for that, for ministry to support the vitality of our ministries together. Our hearts were not invested in the money per se, but in sharing and imagining what we could do together. In the excitement of seeing the collected gifts grow, would we meet the challenge? That is a great place for our hearts to be. But what Jesus warns against, greed, is certainly a cautionary tale. It is so easy to get greedy or anxious about money, about not having enough. Our feelings and our stories that we tell ourselves around money are as layered and complicated as things can get. And living in a capitalist culture, that is exactly how everything is designed to go. There needs to be constant growth of resources, assets, wealth. We start measuring ourselves and our self-worth against that. The growth of money means more than the growth and wholeness of people in a capitalist culture. We care more about the money than the people. And if we aren't wealthy or going in that direction, that somehow means that we are less than in society's eyes. We're failing or not living up to our potential. That kind of thinking leaves out the reality of life cycles. You can't possibly grow all the time. Sometimes we're quiet or stagnant, or sometimes we need to be pruned. Sometimes we're cut off right down to the ground. It's all part of the natural cycle. And sometimes there's disease or famine. And that's why we need barns to save for a rainy day. Often in the Bible, storehouses are seen as good things, as a sign of God's abundance. So why is Jesus being so grumpy about the barns in our passage? Isn't it responsible to prepare a little so we can take care of ourselves, so we aren't caught unaware and unprepared, so that we have enough, so that we can give to others and help others? Perhaps it would be convenient to have a little sensor on our hearts. This balance is so delicate. It would help us to pay attention to which direction our hearts are going. Are we going toward greed, or are we going toward generosity? Are we rich in our possessions, or are we rich toward God? Are we worried and anxious? If we keep reading on in Luke, we get to the passage about not worrying about your life, about God taking care of the sparrows. Are we so focused on our money and our wealth that we can't focus on anything else? Are we overly invested in the power that money gives us? Are we tricked into thinking that somehow wealth will protect us from suffering, from the bumps and bruises of life? We're all going to die, and when we do, as they say, you can't take it with you. Death is the great equalizer in that respect. That goes for all of us. Not only you can't take it with you, but apparently your children don't want what's left either. There have been many articles in the past couple of years talking about how children don't want their aging parents' stuff. There's the one from a few years ago in the New York Times. So how do you get rid of it? Aren't we all wondering that? You donate it to the Lord's Acre Fair, of course. We can solve your problems here at church. All kidding aside, I think we could come to the consensus on greed that it's not optimal to be greedy, but what do we do about these barns? Kangaroos have pockets. Squirrels have dozens of acorn locations. Bees have their hives, and bears like a good cave. But I think human beings must be the most demanding when it comes to their need for storage. We need it so much it verges on a requirement for modern life. And once we get storage space, what do? We expand to fill it, right? The more space, the more stuff. What's the answer to that? Build bigger barns, or again, the Lord's Acre Fair, the perfect place to get rid of your stuff. And we can see that. There's little Lydia. Or, also at the Lord's Acre Fair, you can get more stuff at bargain prices to fill up your extra space, too. Either way, the Lord's Acre Fair is with us for the win. One person's trash is another person's treasure, right? Oh, look at that. That brings back memories, doesn't it? There we go. I love a good barn. Back to the barns. And there are so many different kinds of barns for different purposes. Like there are hay barns, and horse barns, heifer barns, cow barns, hop houses, barns for equipment. A barn is a working building, like a barn to milk cows, or it's a sturdy building to store crops or provide shelter. Full barns are a sign of a good harvest or of being ready for winter. You wouldn't want to have a barn full of cows without a full hay barn, too. Barns indicate responsibility and planning, careful follow-through, abundance, having a little extra to get you through, maybe to help out others who aren't so lucky. So why is this bad? What's the problem? Isn't it good to save for retirement, to save for emergencies, to be prepared in case we lose a job? Because we can no longer expect to work for the same company for years and years anymore. It seems the problem is when we get too attached to it, or we think that our good fortune is entirely because of our hard work, good looks, and superior intelligence. You know, it's that old, our heart is where our treasure is. Think of kids, pets, loved ones, any of your passions and interests. We certainly know that our hearts go there. That's what our hearts fixate on. But what about our stuff? When our bank accounts and stocks and bonds and securities become our security, that's when we are off base. Nothing is a given. Life isn't fair. No amount of preparation or good, clean living or any manner of living can protect us from that. Stuff happens. Life happens. It's a problem when we think things will get easier, that life will smooth out. Clear sailing is ahead. Maybe, maybe not. There's always going to be something. Maybe that is the kind of bigger barn that we actually need, a barn that can hold all of life's good stuff and bad stuff together, sort of a container to hold us together. It's a strong working building so we can experience the tough emotions and the pleasant ones and not run away from it. This builds up our resiliency so that we can expand. We can expand our heart's capacity for empathy, love, and grace. That can happen. Take the image of rain falling on a sunny day. Think of when you've seen that. It's both magical and a little confusing, isn't it? Seems like it shouldn't be raining because it's sunny, or it's sunny so it shouldn't be raining. But isn't that life? That's how it rolls. Everything's all mixed up together. Did you know that the song "Have You Ever Seen the Rain," released in 1971 by John Fogerty, was written about the band Creedence Clearwater Revival breaking up? Fogerty mused that he probably should have seen it coming. And don't we say that about a lot of things? Sometimes I think it's really merciful that we can't see what's coming. If we could, it might be hard to get out of bed in the morning. But if we could see these things, would we live differently? What would we do? What wouldn't we put off? And what would we let go of? What would we say, why am I fighting this? Or why am I getting into it over this? Or why didn't I take up that cause? We aren't going to know these things, but we sure do know that sure enough, it'll rain a sunny day. There will be beauty in the midst of struggles, and there will be sun underlying sadness. Yes, there is a calm before a storm. It's kind of like that car that suddenly works when you take it into the mechanic. Or like happened to me this week, the limping little dog with the suddenly perfect stride at the vet appointment. And maybe all of these things, these little things can remind us, stop, breathe, look around. God is the ground of our being. Love and grace surround us even when it rains. That's the primary thing. Or as the poet Mary Oliver wrote in the short poem, Instructions for Living a Life, pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it. I'm pretty sure that's almost everything that Jesus said too. And John Wesley and so many other wise ones. I think most of life is like a band breaking up. Some good stuff comes together. There's attraction, energy, and music. Stuff is going along. There are melodies, harmonies, flow. There's a tension blip here and there, but it's good. And then it's not, and stuff happens, and more stuff happens. It doesn't feel right, and you kind of know stuff needs to change. There's some people involved who are grumps. Some are passive-aggressive. Oh, some are just outright aggressive, and some deny it. And then some leave, and things are different. And then we start the cycle all over again. Life is like a band breaking up. And then sometimes there are knockoff tribute bands that get together and people say, that's great, it's just like the old band. And some people say, wow, whew, don't they look old? Or, whew, that music just doesn't hold up, does it? Sometimes a band member will start a new band and do new stuff, new life, new music. Or maybe there's no band at all. Or bitterness and apathy set in, or sometimes the memory and the old song are so good and strong they keep us going on. John Fogerty commented on the song in a Rolling Stones interview in 1993. The imagery is you can have a bright, beautiful, sunny day, and it can be raining at the same time. Rain and sun. When that happens, it takes my breath away. And I always wonder, where's the rainbow? And if I can't see it, I sure like knowing that there's one somewhere and someone else is surely seeing it. This is that rainbow that appeared at LAF a few years ago after some rain. And the next one is in Ireland, where I suspect a rainbow could appear almost any time. So let's not let greed take over our barns. Let's build shelters for each other in the storms of life. Let's show up for each other, cook for each other, listen to each other when a story needs to be heard. Break out bubbles and ice cream. That's a hint, there's going to be ice cream later. When joy needs to be celebrated. And let's gather around when the rain is really coming down. Being mortal humans means that we're going to need a little storage to make it through, but let's not go overboard on that. Let's not focus on the barn and their contents. Instead, pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it. Tell about, have you ever seen the rain falling down a sunny day? May it be so. Amen.